the one, and the two, and the.
Hey, flying freckles people, it's finally happened. The match we have wanted for so long has been made a reality. I am so excited, if you can't tell. But before we get into all of that, yeah. Aren't we looking flash and sparkly now? I gotta remember that you're up there now, so you're not like always looking down at me, going like, hello. Welcome to the show. Moi, I am Bex Bastet, and this is Don't Call Me Diva, where we only talk women's wrestling. I run down all of the weekly women's action in AEW, ROH, plus whatever else that I feel like talking about. Let it be known before we end tour that we live in the world of kayfabe here in Divaville. It's episode 28 of the show. If you need more info on me and why we are here, go check out episode 1. Okay. So many exciting things have happened this week in the world of women's wrestling. Stardom gave everyone a gift by putting their show at the Korakuen Hall on YouTube. Free for absolutely everybody. When we, as in I and my fiance, go to Japan in a few weeks, I am hoping to catch a few little shows over there. And a big Japan show is on Halloween at Kurakuen Hall, which would be that would just be everything. It'd be like photos up the wazoo. We are also going to be super close to Tokyo Dome because as I found out when doing research for this trip, that Kurakuen Hall is like kind of underneath Tokyo Dome, but not necessarily underneath the dome per se, but there's like a walkway you go over and it's like down in there. So that's super exciting. And one of the first things I thought of, and we like both were like, oh my God, we totally have to do that. When we actually made the trip to go to Japan. This is silly. And this also shows how completely like wrestling mad I am. We are going to like replicate the Young Bucks pics in front of Tokyo Dome with their poses, and I am so excited for that. Don't worry, you are all going to see the absolute like unhinged, maybe cringe of all that. I understand sometimes a fan indulging in their fandom a little bit too, like, well, can be a little bit cringe for someone. So be aware a lot of that will be coming. But that is super exciting. There is also going to be a Stardom match that I am going to be catching. That is in a beautiful area, like in a shrine of the hall thing. Fuck it, it's absolutely gorgeous. That's going to be a new blood match. So that means basically like a debut of like their new kind of upstarts and all that kind of stuff. I apologize, I can't remember the term that they call for this. Kohai, it may be kohai, course. I am terrible. I should have really looked up that before. That is going to be super exciting because, like, what if we see like the new future, world champion of Stardom at this match? And just to top it all off, there is going to be a Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling match as well. I mean, yeah, event that we're going to be able to catch too. I cannot believe that we are going to be so blessed with all of this. It's just worked out well into the itinerary. I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. It's going to be so much fun. The super secret surprise will also be debuting while I am away, which is also very exciting. It will be released during those weeks. So keep your little eyes peeled. Obviously, we will announce it all just beforehand, but keep your eyes peeled on this channel. beat everything. I have everything all newly set in, so there may be some elbow. I might be actually fighting my computer this time as opposed to like unintentionally fighting Miss Julia Hart. But back to Stardom, they had a fantastic 3 hour show, and it's all free, like I said, available to watch via their YouTube page still now. Saya Kamitani, my favorite Joshi right now, faced off against Azumi, who we have spoken about before in episode 13 of this show specifically. Azumi put up, oh, both of them actually put up their titles against one another after a superb match. Saya Kamitani came out the victor and now has the World of Stardom Championship and the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Two major titles are now held by one of the greatest stars in Joshi wrestling. She has also recently come out and said that she's not really that she's not really that interesting. Lies. She's not really that interested in going into foreign companies right now. Totally fair. I will stop, well, will I stop? I will just be having fun, like super fan booking my own stuff. But like, don't expect her at a Forbidden Door anytime soon, unfortunately. But never mind. She is now also the sixth wrestler to hold the New Japan Strong title. It's getting quite the lineage, I have to say. After the match, Momo Watanabe stepped up to Saya Kamitani and challenged her for both of these titles, and that will be held on November 3rd at Stardom's Crimson Nightmare event. Ooh, that is going to be worth looking at as well. The other very interesting development that happened at this show was the response from Sari to Syuri in regards to her challenge for the IWGP Women's Championship. It seems Sari has other plans and intends on defending the title somewhere overseas. So we may not get Saya, but we may get Sari. Ooh, so we shall be keeping an eye on seeing how that develops. The one and the only Queen Aminata was in the Battle of the Best at the recent DPW event. She won. I am such a dir. I wrote one as in like the number one. So I was like, where have I gone? She has actually won. She's not like the number one. And we'll be facing the DPW's Women's World Champion, Nicole Matthews, at their Super Battle on October 19th. There is a fun event that goes on pretty regularly by the name of Lucha Libre Laughs. I have only just recently looked into this. The event combines stand-up comedy with pro wrestling. At the If the Apocalypse Comes Beat Me event a few weeks ago, Yuka Sakazaki took on Dulce Tormenta, who we have spoken about in episode 16, and someone we haven't spoken about yet, but who I cannot wait until we get a chance to. The absolute menace of intergender wrestling herself, Heidi Howitzer, was there, being her awesomeness. Abaddon is going to be at a upcoming Lucha Laughs, Lucha Libre Laughs event. She's going to be coming up at an upcoming one. And Maki Ito, the cutest in the world, was at a previous one. That's what I'm trying to communicate to you all. You can catch all of that on their YouTube channel too. My goodness. On the subject of Maki Ito, she wants to come to AEW and we want her to come to AEW. So TK, get on the horn, shuffle some cash around and get her in AEW. More Yuka Sakazaki, please. And thank you too, because she's freaking awesome. And I had plans for her. Ugh, so many plans. All Out was absolutely Amazing. A brilliant pay-per-view that gave us surprises and title changes. Chris Redemption Arc Statlander bit the Timeless One for the title in that four-way. She rolled her up in a nice and tight little seatbelt pin and got the three. Timeless Tony Storm was all of the emotions, stunned, proud, slightly aroused, and she was agape with astonishment. Riho gave Mercedes Moné a good challenge for her TBS championship. In the end, the CEO had to cheat with a rake to the eyes to be able to get Riho down for the three count to retain her TBS title. Very dastardly, Miss Monet. Hopefully, hopefully, Riho does not disappear again and we get to see more matches from Riho. The tailgate brawl between Willow Harley, Queen Aminata, and Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Penelope Ford, and Megan Bain saw the battle debut of Penelope's all out battle gear. And you know me, I lost my shit with excitement just over that fact alone. Fuck! She looked so badass in that gear, and that match was an absolute banger. The baby faces came out victorious, but really, with that outfit, do any of us lose? I don't think so. It was as amazing in battle as I envisioned it would be. There is still a lot of unfinished business between these ladies of destruction. What was that noise? We finally have women's tag titles. I don't know where that song came from. All that has been announced is that we have them, and a tournament will be held to crown our first champions. One of the first tag teams in AEW had a very surprise return during a recent mystery wrestling show. The Buddy came back and had a match with Penelope Ford. Freaking so happy for her. They took on Allison Kay and Mighty Bell. Both wrestlers have been in AEW before. I hope we get the Bunny back. I really, really do, because then she can join Mega Bad and Penelope and Bunny can go for those titles. Okay, so aren't they beautiful? By the way, those titles are absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those a little later. I'm going to dream book some teams right now, okay? Just for some fun. So Maki Ito and Harley Cameron, could you imagine them as a tag team going for those titles? Also, Ty Valkyrie and Lady Frost, they tag teamed in a CMLL match a little while ago, and they work amazingly together. They really, really do. The Renegade Twins, hopefully the injured one is not like permanently injured, because they are great. Nyla Rose, Emi Sakura. Do y'all remember the Nyla Rose, Emi Sakura tag team? And they had Mei Suruga out there with them. Was it Mei Suruga? No, it wasn't Mei Suruga out them when they were a tag team. My bad. It was. Ah, smack me in the face. Her name has completely, like, I can see her in the butler gear and everything. You guys know who I'm talking about. Please tell me who I'm talking about in all of the comments. That was when they were a tag team. But anyway, do y'all remember Nyla Rose and Emi Sakura as a tag team? Fuck, they ruled. They absolutely ruled. So I would love that back again. And, Riho, this might sound weird to some people, but Riho and DMD came to mind when I thought about a potential tag team. DMD and Hater as well, but I was also, when I was thinking about this, I was also trying to keep a clear line between like those I want like on the singles thing. I mean, this is all like my opinion. I want, whatever happens, happens. But like who I would have on like a singles trajectory and who I would have on like the tag team trajectory. And I kind of like hated more on like the singles trajectory at the moment. And I think Riha and DBD, DMD, the two OGs, combining forces would actually like really work, I think, DMD could be like the great mouthpiece for them. I reckon their styles would work really, really well together. Be great. And the super, super dream team. Team Slap Happy. Ah! Rumi Soho and Dakota Kai. Could you imagine? I'm imagining and I'm super excited. So that's ah so much fun. So much fun is going to be coming up for the Tech Titles. But before we get into anything else, we have a very special announcement from the Don't Call Me Diva team here. And that is, please get yourself comfortable for that little ray of sunshine that is Layla Gray. And here she is in all of her Layla Gray glory. No real reason other than the fact that, Layla Gray. And also remember, the woman has her album out. It's very good. It's called This Is Layla. Go get it if you're into that, like, sexy R&B kind of. Do they call it R&B still now? I am 43, so do forgive me. Amazing makeup? Yeah, that too. Amazing music and from the amazing Layla Gray. See? Everything's better when you have a little moment for Layla Gray. Thank you, Queen. Till next time. Right. So let's get into the excitement about what happened on the tally this week. So, have you brought your booms and are you shaking your boobs? Because it's motherfucking dynamite. Okay. We explode into the episode with Hanabi and fire in the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh. Some of us were wondering if Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, would be back as we are in her hometown, but we did not get the returning dentist. I personally wasn't thinking about Britt, as the last time she came back, it was in Pittsburgh to inform us of her health battles, and they were not welcoming and quite rude, if you ask me. It was not long after all that misinformation about her and Cole breaking up like went around, and the crowd were just really rude. So in my mind, Pittsburgh have lost their Britsburg privileges for now. With a break of tradition, whiplash, we are not starting our show with Marina and her dastardly Death Riders. We have the remarkable How Does She Get Away with These Questions, Renee Paquette, with the new world champion Chris Statlander and the incredible Harley Cameron. Renee is jeweled in gold in a blue leopard print waistcoat. Chris is also draped in gold with the gorgeous World Championship belt around her waist, dressed for battle in her purple and silver gear and shimmering with sparkles, as she has a match coming up against a Miss Mina Shirakawa. Up pops the always on point Harley Cameron to really ramp up the introduction of Stat Daddy herself. Harley is in her pink cat face era and is wearing a friend of the pod, the bustier with a black kick-ass pants. We get the scoops on how the new champion is feeling, and she is beaten up but fully prepared for battle against Shirakawa. She is very confident, as a world champion should be, but Renee really knows how to bring down the mood by inquiring about her husband's Death Rider's motives recently. Stat sternly answers Renee, then Harley pounces into glorious action to the buy back and then drops out of frame. Good old Don't Call Me Diva favorite. Oh my God. Just watch this promo if you need a little chuckle. Freaking hilarious. Next, we have FTR. Now, why are we talking about FTR, do you ask? Because of Beth motherfucking Copeland. That is why. During the Coping Cage versus FTR match, Stokely was getting involved in causing mischief, as he does, and a certain Phoenix had enough. She finally debuted in AEW and I lost my shit. Legit cried from the joy, and she was looking strong and super badass. Her makeup was exquisite, as you can see here. She was dressed in all black as a personal favor to me. Believe me, I was shocked that she already knew the deal about that. Now, unfortunately, revenge was served up by FTR. After they lost the match, Mother Wayne wheels out her currently, you know, not deceived, currently broken son, Nick Wayne. Cope got handcuffed to the ropes, and then Cage got his head rammed through the mat. Beth tried all that she could, but she couldn't get Cope free. Of course, because how on earth can you break? I mean, she's strong, but she's not strong enough to break apart handcuffs, unfortunately. So she went into battle against FTR for herself. Beth plants a big smooch onto Adam's lips and then explodes into a fury of lefts and rights. Powerful forearms that drive Cash back into the corner, with all of her rage. Unfortunately, Beth is outnumbered by Dax, and he grabs her from behind. And they do the same thing they did to Cage to Beth. So when FTR start coming out for this in the ring promo dissing Beth, it is too much for the hero of the locker room. And Willow comes out from backstage, gets straight into that ring with no fear whatsoever, and gives FTR an absolute ear bashing. It was so cool. The crowd was going nuts as Willow was stomping out and just giving them everything. I would personally love the tag match between Willow and Beth against FTR. I think they could take them on and win. Book it right now. Gimme. After the announcement of the new Women's World Tag titles, we get an unveiling by the remarkable Renee Paquette. And as you saw earlier, they are gorgeous. The straps are black. The lettering is in gold, which has all these diamonds sparkling around the plates. The blue from the water of the earth is vibrant and makes the whole thing pop. It's gorgeous. A lot of people, and fairly want TJ to win the first tag titles, but as I said, my heart is on Ford and the Bunny. Or the Sisters of Sin, of course. Nothing at all against TJ. That's just who I would pick. But of course, as always, I will watch whatever happens and be happy for whoever does get to be the inaugural champions. Because just because someone doesn't win now doesn't mean that they're not going to win in the future. Okay? Everything is open. Our main event is the world champion Chris Statlander versus the interim ROH World Tele Champion Mina Shirakawa. Shirakawa's music hits first, and as Justin Roberts announces her entrance, Mina does her battle dance of power whilst wearing the belt for added battle bonus. Now, I always try to I have no idea what she's doing, but it's all hips and arms and it's gorgeous. Mina is in her wonderful white and gold battle coat with pom-poms on strings and pearls that bounce along with her dancer moves and herself. Mina's battle gear is her green, gold, and lilac gear, all strapped and appropriately sparkled with added gold chains. Next out is our new world champion, Chris Statlander, who debuted new music at All Out. It's got kind of a battle metal-y feel to it. I think it's really great. Her Titantron was very spacey inspired as well. So I wonder if elements of Alien Stat and More Than a Woman Stat and the recent butt-kicking confidence stat will be combining as, triangle of awesomeness in our world champion. Stat battle poses on the ropes with her world title gleaming around her waist, while we are getting the replay of her win. Someone who has no place being here gets up onto the apron and starts whispering shenanigans in the ear of our world champion. Fucking Yuta pats Stat on the back and makes his slimy way back to wherever he came from. The two tough wrestlers engage in combat, with the strength of Stat sending Mina slamming down onto the mat. But Mina gets up with a battle cry and tells Stat to bring it on. Being Joshi is tough, no matter what. It doesn't matter how petite they may be, they all have skeletons of concrete and muscles connected by rubber. They will never go down without a fight and should never be counted out of a fight. Stat shoulder blocks Mina again and she hits the mat. Stat lands her standing moonsault and goes for the pin. She knows Mina is bound to kick out before three, but she does it anyway. Mina's quickness gets Stat down with a tiara that turned into a Russian leg sweep. Mina got a little too excited as she ducks the forearm from Stat and celebrates with her little titty shimmy. Chris is like, I don't think so, Missy, and picks up Mina for a back suplex. We get the gun show from the champ, and the crowd is very happy. Mina gets whipped into the corner, planted there by a chop from the champion, then almost had her head pounded in for 10. But Shirakawa slides out of the way, and this time she is the one that mounts Stat in the corner. Mina rains down hands on Chris while the crowd count along with her. Mina puts some extra hip thrusts in for good measure and puts the sexy in sex and violence. We get a full body wiggle before the ref tells her to get out of the corner. The Pittsburgh crowd are having a fabulous time. Stat puts an end to Mina's joyful celebration as she explodes out of the corner with a drop kick. Mina gets whipped into the corner again, but this time Stat quickly follows it up with a running uppercut. As Stat comes back in off the ropes, Mina slips through them and avoids the running boot. Mina drop kicks Stat's knee and Stat collapses onto the apron. It is fair to target Chris's knee because she has been out before with bad knee injuries. Not good, but it's fair. Shirakawa gets violently creative with more damage to Stat's knee by grabbing her foot and slamming it down onto the floor. Stat's knee takes all of that impact off the apron and Chris instantly grabs her knee in pain. Mina does not dilly-dally and sends the world champion into those steel steps. Stat didn't seem to be limping, thankfully, on her way to those steps, but the impact with them had to hurt. Mina introduces Stat to the other side of the steps and sets her up for her assisted off the steps tornillo, and she lands it head first down onto our world champion. The ROH interim world tally champion gets high fives all around from ringside crowd before maneuvering Stat back into the ring. Mina should have stayed focused on Stat, but instead she faces the crowd again, giving Chris enough time to spin her legs around, capture her head, and then slam her face into the side of the ring apron. Mina gets her back cracked by Dr. Stat on that ring apron with a heavy slam, and she screams out in pain while Stat Daddy gives us a gun show. Sidebar, calling people daddy feels really icky. Hitting everything. Oh, God. Drama in the studio. See, I just mentioned the word daddy and it made go, and I hit everything. It made me feel ill. It's very oily, haired leather muffin bouncing on Santa's, all that kind of vibes. And it's just not for me. But moving on from all of that, the champion rolls Mina back into the ring and gives us another gun show, then goes for the pin on Mina. Now, this was not going to be that winning pin, and Mina easily kicks out of it by 2, but still feeling those effects from the slam on the apron. Chris shows off her strength in another way by lifting Mina up for a very delayed vertical suplex and goes for the pin again, but tough Mina kicks out at 2. Chris gives Mina's back more damage by whipping her into the corner with severe force. Our world champion seems to be having some issues with like her lip, or maybe it was like her tongue piercing. She has to take something out and give it to the ref after planting Mina into that corner with a forearm. As a lipped pierced woman myself, I always like have a slight about piercing rippage during combat. Mina gets slammed to the mat, then Stat drops a big muscly thigh down onto Shirakawa and Stat goes for another pin. It wasn't the strongest pin, and Mina was able to kick out before it got to three. Stat goes to suplex Mina again, but she engages wiggle mode and pulls Stat down for a cheeky little roll up. Mina cannot contain Stat's legs though, and she kicks out at two. Both wrestlers get to their feet, and Chris boots Mina in the womb. Ooh. The world champion whips the ROH interim world tele champion into the corner again, climbs the ropes, and this time she is the one who rains down the hands while the crowd counts along. And then we get another gun show from the champion. We're very lucky. Mina tries to make a comeback with several forearms, but gets taken out again with a stiff lariat, and Chris goes for that pin. Mina kicks out strongly, but finds herself in a tight body scissors very quickly from Stat, putting more pressure on her targeted back. But Shirakawa won't give up. In fact, she starts bashing down on Stat's knee, and Chris has to change up her position. Mina gets herself and maneuvers Mina onto her stomach, and it's in a side headlock because I'm an idiot. Mina gets herself to her feet and starts elbowing the world champion in the gut. Mina counters another suplex attempt from Stat and continues to bash Chris in the face whilst trying to break Stat's grip around her body. Chris manages to hoist Mina up for a power bomb, but Mina nopes the fook out of that and manages to get one of her legs around Stat's neck, shifts her body weight to take her down to the mat, and Mina finally breaks free from Stat's grip. Mina's burst off the ropes and she takes out Stat with a sling blade and then releases a battle cry from the depths. Mina doesn't waste time and releases a flurry of forearm shots to the world champion. Mina kicks off the ropes and rams Stat's head into the mat from a swinging DDT and then missiles herself at Stat's knee with a short, sharp drop kick. Mina does more damage to the world champion's knees and gives us all a titty shimmy with a power up and then stomps on the knees. Chris is rolling on the mat with pain, and Mina attempts to put her into the figure four headlock, but Stat is not having any of that and boots Mina in the butt, sending her into the corner, which dashes her back into the turnbuckle again. What will win the fight? Mina's back or Stat's knees? Mina gets pummeled by Stat, but can wriggle her way out of a potential power move again. Shirakawa goes for the glamorous driver Mina, but this time Stat powers out of it. The world champion goes to nail Mina with Saturday Night Fever, but this time but the experienced Mina prevails again, and she shifts her weight to get Chris down for a nice little roll-up into a pin. Chris kicks out, hits Mina with the fisherman driver into another pin, but Mina will still kick out before the ref gets to three. The dance of violence takes its toll on the two champions, and they take this little moment to recover. It's not for long, though. This time, Mina takes complete control of the world champion and takes her down with two nasty-looking dragon screws. Chris is down, and Shirakawa pulls energy from the crowd, climbs to the top rope. Chris gets her feet, but it's not the wisest move as Mina is taking flight with an avalanche sling blade this time and squishes Statlander up into a tight little pin. Mina gets a good cover on her toe, but the world champion flips his shoulders off the mat before the ref can hit three. It sounds like a good chunk of the crowd wouldn't have minded a little Mina Shirakawa win right there. Mina releases a cry of frustration, but it leaves her face quickly as it came, and the fighting smile returns as she regroups to continue battle. Before Stat can get to her feet, Mina winds up and rocks her with a rolling fist, and then a roundhouse kick. But that one activated the world champion. She ducks the spinning back fist coming in from Mina. Stat hoists Mina up onto her shoulders to slam her down in an electric facebuster. But the damage Mina has been doing to her knee starts to flare up, and instead of being able to finish the move, she pauses to shake it out, and that is all the space Mina needs to again take Chris down with a roll up. Mina spies the weakness and quickly locks in the figure four leg lock. Stat writhes in pain, but manages to successfully reaches the ropes, and that will break that four. A thrust kick from the champ almost gets her back in control, but Mina eats that kick up and responds with a devastating rolling elbow. Stat is down on her knees and gets rocked by a roundhouse kick to the back of her head. Chris Statlander, our world champion, is out on her feet, and Mina has plenty of time to line her up for the rolling back fist that knocks Stat completely off her feet. And she is once again susceptible to the figure four leg lock. Mina goes for it, but the world champion thinks quick, boots her in the ass. Stat jumps into action, rolls Mina up in the seatbelt pin, and gets the win right there. Mina was completely taken off guard and has to double check with the ref just to confirm that she lost. And she is not, as you could imagine, that happy with the answer. And before a certain someone gets mentioned again, but before we can even bask in the glory of Statlander's win, fucking Yuta appears again from the damp corners of his lair before the champion can even get her belt on. He's pumping her up, giving her a round of applause, and then the fabulous Harley Cameron comes running down to the ring and gives her Stat Daddy a massive hug. There have been a whole bunch of new fans watching AEW, and when they got to meet Harley Cameron for the first time, it was such a fun moment. It brings me joy to see how welcoming the the AEW crowd have been to these new fans. It's so freaking wholesome. Well done. Harley spies fucking Yuta and stares daggers into him. The stench of Death Riders increases as Claudio, Danny, and the newly returned but terrifyingly clothed Pack the Bastard circle the ring. Not the most welcoming of clicks, to be honest. Marina, who is very kindly doing me the personal favor of dressing in all black, is bringing the big dog himself out from the red glowing corridor. Marina still has the key around her neck. Have you noticed that? And now I'm wondering what it actually unlocks. At first, we all thought it was to the briefcase that held the map to where the real men's world title was buried. But it is still around her waist. And the champion is now our wholesome cowboy with the head full of curls. Does she have someone locked up somewhere? Should I perhaps not be inquiring about this and moving on in fear of my safety? Have I asked too much? Marina is rocking the long, extravagant eyeliner, and it works for her features fabulously. Okay, so this here, talking to y'all, we're not like a makeup channel, of course, duh. But I am a makeup artist from the past. And recreating women's wrestling looks sounds like a fun little like side project to just like do for like just fun. Food for ponder. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. I might be bored, have my face, post a pic. Appear in a video, mate. Ooh, I might appear in a video. Then you can like play spot the wrestler. In the ring, though, Stat has become very protective of Harley and keeps her close. Mox gets into the ring and just stares at Stat. He doesn't say a goddamn thing, but gives FY a look, and that's enough for him. Fucking Yuta embraces Stat and is the happiest I have seen him for a while. Chris is giving nothing, though. Her face is not one of happy. More like, why is this wet fringe hugging me? But eventually, she slowly wraps her arms around frickin' Yuta. FY is ecstatic. He raises the world champion's arm in victory as the crowd boos the bollocks coming along before us. She gives us a look that gives me hope, though, and they slowly turn towards Harley, who is backed up against the corner, kind of looking for her exit at this moment. Stat looks at Cameron in the face and then nails fucking Yuta in the face with a short, sharp lariat that wipes the happiness right off that dragon betrayer's face, and he is stunned. Ha! Frickin' payback, my friend. Mox is completely caught off guard, and Marina doesn't know if she can like retaliate or not. All the Death Riders are completely taken off guard. Harley gets the fook out of there. Marina springs into action, but the world champion is quicker. She ducks the wild lariat from Shafir and ends up right in front of Mox. Stat pulls two middle fingers up right in Mox's face and nopes the fook out of that ring. Stat races to the barricade, hurdles over it, grabs the following Harley from the incoming clutches of a Marina, and the two of them scamper up those stairs. Chris gives the whole Death Rider crew another double fuck you, and then the music of our resident undead warrior, Darby Allen, and his good friend the flamethrower. He comes out with a gun of fire and he wants to grill those Death Riders. And that's the end of death. And that's the end of death. And that is the end of death. That's the end of Dynamite. Excuse of me. Now, on to the collision. We open the show with those dastardly Death Riders. God damn it. Having a trios match. Marina joins them, and even though she is dressed for battle, she does not get involved with the match. But holy flying fraggles, people, we are getting a mixed tag match, though. Fucking YOSH! It's Marina Shafir and fucking Yuta. But they are facing Rachel Ellering and Rosario Grillo. We have spoken about Rachel many a time before on the show, and I wonder if her strength is able to overcome the problem of Marina. Marina is dressed in all black, from the black battle bra to the very comfortable looking baggy battle pants. Marina is one of the barefooted brood, and I worry about Ellering becoming the kickback for Marina's rage over this whole Statlander situation. She's tough, but Marina's mad. Fucking Yuta definitely has some feelings that he is taking out on Rosario Grillo and proceeds to take him out before the bell even rings. The furious Wet Fringe beats Grillo down and then drags his corpse all over to Ellering and forces the tag. He stomps off to his corner. Ellering and Shafir enter the ring and square up. Marina taunts Ellering to give her like what she's got, and Rachel is not afraid to accept the challenge. She cracks Marina in the jaw with a forearm. It slightly rocks Marina, but like a drunk at the bar, she calls for another. The second honestly didn't do as much, and Marina grabs Ellering's face, screams at her to do better. So Rachel does. She winds up the rolling elbow, but with a hey! Marina pump kicks her off her feet. Shafir pulls out Grillo. Oh, punks out Grillo, I have to say, and then goes back to hurting Ellering. Marina judos Ellering down, takes her down to Suckletown with her smothering submission, Mother's Milk. And Rachel cannot power her way out of the submission and must tap. Fucking Yuta just has to cut a promo on our world champion Chris Statelander. His hypocrisy is hilarious as he spits venom through this Wet Fringe. The butt of everyone's joke declares that there shall be another mixed tag match between them and Stat and Mr. Mountain Climber himself, Darby Allin. That is going to be coming up at next week's Dynamite at the 6-year anniversary. And that, my dear friends, is going to be a very brutal. They're all mad. It's going to be great. Lexi Nair in her beautiful hair is gorgeous in rose, and she has Ty J with her to talk all about the new tag titles. And they are super excited about that these titles are finally here. Just a little side moment here. Boys, let's go break some hearts. Dalton Castles is back, and it's the best thing ever. It's the main event time once again, and it is the women's match. Yes, it means a lot. It really does. I feel way more appreciated as a woman fan of AEW this year than I have ever felt before. And it's a really giddy, like fun feeling, you know? It's not like, like I felt like bad as a woman fan before, but it's just a little extra. Hater will be taking on my woman from the darkness, Julia Hart. Julia comes out first with her sister in sin, Sky Blue. Thankfully, Blue looks like she is walking okay. I got a tiny bit worried that she had tweaked her knee in All Out, but seems like we're good. Julia walks slowly out to the entrance under the red glow, singing her incantations as she does. Sky is doing moi the personal favor of looking ravishing in all black. Julia, woo! Excuse me. Julia is in her awesome battle jacket, her hat of curses, and her red and black mesh battle pants with a black battle bikini. Next is the boppin' music of Jamie Hayter. Hayter is in her awesome battle gear from All Out. The colors look gorgeous on her. Jamie has a fabulously stylish yet comfortable enough to pass out in jacket, which I love. Jamie is pumped and I think a bit pissed off. Fair enough considering the shenanigans between these two. The two wrestlers lock up and Hayter instantly pushes Hart backwards. Julia's like, yeah, okay, let's go, but gets overpowered by Hayter again and kisses the canvas. Julia gets back to her feet though and kisses Jamie's face with her hand, giving her a spicy slap. Hayter answers by booting Julia in the stomach and then starts clobbering down on the back of Hart, forcing her onto her knees. Hayter stomps and kicks Julia into the corner where she gets stomped on some more by Jamie Hayter. The ref gets her out of that corner and Hayter walks away, basking in the applause of the crowd. I will give, the crowd a bit of leeway here. They have been causing shenanigans, fun shenanigans, but shenanigans nonetheless. By the way, we are in Huntington, West Virginia for this collision, and a fellow sicko is proudly displaying the OG Sicko Club flag created by the fabulous Neon Ghost on all platforms. By the way, if you want any Sickos Club merch for yourself, go check out the shop at sickosclub.com. While you're there, read some fabulous articles and browse the real human created art while you're there. But back to the match. Julia gets to her feet but runs into a boot from Hayter. Julia engages quick mode and manages to avoid Hayter's offense until she is once again is taken down by a stiff boot. Julia collapses and clutches at her stomach while Blue paces along the outside, unable to help for now. Hayter is feeling great and is currently basking in her glory. Things don't get better for Julia as Hayter continues to beat Julia into the corner and then flings her across the ring. Julia gets choked and then flung again, but avoids the upcoming running lariat from Hayter and escapes very quickly to the outside into the helpful arms of a Sky Blue. Hayter is on a rampage though and follows Hart out to the outside very quickly. Blue gets Hart back into the ring and then turns in time to avoid the clothesline coming in from Hayter. Blue quickly adjusts and cracks Hayter in the face with a thrust kick to the face. And then our woman with the twin tails throws Hayter back into the ring. Julia locks onto Hayter's head and rams it into the mat. Julia tries to capitalize on this with a DDT. Tries to capitalize on this DDT with a pin, but Hayter is still kicking and gets out by 2. Julia is furious after that kick out, and Hayter is still feeling that kick to the jaw from Sky, followed by that DDT. Julia Hart mounts Hayter and slams the back of her head into the mat and then pins her shoulders down again. Hayter kicks out at 2. But Hart just continues slamming Jamie's head, and the joy just explodes out of her. Dealing pain is definitely Julia Hart's happy place. Hart pins Hader's shoulders down one more time, but is still unsuccessful. Julia suplexes Jamie down to the mat, then drapes Hader over the middle rope to choke her out for as long as she can get away with it. Sky Blue is right there to mock Hader as she gasps for air. Julia lures the ref away from Hader, and he falls for the ruse completely. Behind his back, Sky gets up onto the apron and chokes Jamie out some more, even pulling on the escort. Julia goes back to beating down and choking Hader until Hader shifts her weight and pulls Julia onto her shoulders, making her have to kick out. But Hart doesn't let go of the side headlock. The two wrestlers get to their feet, but Hader is soon back on that mat from a nasty hair pull from Hart. Hart brings Hader back to her feet and then drags her over to the corner where Julia climbs the ropes and walks the walk of the dead man. Julia Hart clobbers down on Hader's back and Hader collapses back to the mat. Julia runs off the ropes and slides a stiff lariat through the back of Jamie's head. Hart pins Hader again, but is once again unsuccessful. So Julia just continues to choke her out. The crowd start to rally behind Jamie, and she uses that power to get to her feet. And she gets the strength to give Julia a stiff knee to the gut and a forearm to the jaw that makes Julia stumble back onto the ropes. As the ref checks on Hart, Sky Blue pulls Hader's feet out from under her and pulls her out of the ring. Hader has had enough of all of this bollocks and takes Sky out with a suplex to the floor. Hader releases a battle cry from the depths as the crowd erupts behind her. Hader springs up onto the apron and Julia is quick to meet her, but Hader is on fire and takes her out first. Jamie grabs Julia's head and rams her face into the turnbuckle 10 times. That dazes Julia Hart. Jamie isn't done, and she climbs the ropes and missiles herself at Julia Hart with a stunning drop kick, followed by a stiffer shotgun drop kick that sends Julia into the corner. Julia is rubber, but even she has to be hurting right now. Hader slams her into the mat with a Saito suplex and goes for another pin on Hart. Hart says no, thank you very much, though, and kicks out at 2. Hader yoinks Julia for a power move, but Julia manages to escape. She gets yoinked again in a firearms carry, and tries to get out of it with elbows to the face of Hader. And she manages to slam Hader down onto the mat with a crucifix pin. But Hader can still kick out of that before 3. Hader rams Julia back into this corner. But as she comes back in at Julia, she captures her into her trap, leans back onto the ropes, and brings Hader down into the tarantula submission. But she can only keep it on until at least 4, though, because, you know, that dastardly rule about, like, ropes and stuff like that. Julia tries to capture Jamie's head for a swinging DDT again, but instead finds herself on Jamie Hader's shoulders. Eek. And this time, she slams her down onto her knee with a ushigoroshi. Julia is still able to engage quickness and avoids the incoming Haterade. Julia runs off the ropes and glomps onto Jamie Hader, and she tries to lock in the Manjikatami, but Hader's power blocks it, and Jamie slams Hart down onto her knee with a backbreaker. Jamie better be careful, or else she's going to give herself a knee breaker of her own with those. As Julia recovers in the corner, Hader winds up with the Haterade. It gives Julia all the time she needs, though, to chant her incantations of recovery, and Hader runs full speed into a double stomp from Hart. Hart takes out Hader's legs and slams her down to the mat. Julia stomps on her for a few more times for good luck, you know, and then climbs the rope. Hart lands her superb moonsault off the top rope and then goes for the pin. Jamie doesn't have to put too much effort into the kick out as she was still like super close to these ropes, and she just casually puts her boot onto the bottom rope and breaks the pin. Julia gets to her feet first and starts yelling at Hader, taunting her to get to her feet. Julia's plan works perfectly. Haida gets to her feet and Julia runs at her with a battle cry. This time, the Manji Katami is successful and Julia squeezes Haida's head and wrenches back on her arms, all while making Jamie Haida carry her entire weight. The power of Jamie Hader is incredible, but so is the submission game from Julia Hart, and both are fighting with one another. Sky Blue is successful at pulling the ropes out from Hader's reach this time, making Jamie having to change tactics and return to the middle of the ring. But all of a sudden, Hader explodes with strength and whips Julia Hart around for a tombstone pile driver that drills Julia Hart's head through the mat. Everyone in the building that is not Sky Blue thought that was it when Hader put her in the pin, but my woman Julia Hart kicks out strongly before the ref can hit the three. Hader is super frustrated with this and releases a battle cry from the depths appropriately. Unfortunately, Julia isn't with it enough to avoid the haterade that came next. And this time, Jamie does get the one and the two and the three beat. The crowd get to their feet as the music of the victorious hater rings out in the arena. Jamie retrieves her earlier discarded ascot and wipes her brow, completely unaware that Sky Blue has gotten into the ring and was checking on Julia Hart. Hader gets up onto the ropes to celebrate her victory, but as she jumps back down, she gets hit behind from Sky Blue, who just starts stomping a mud hole into Hader. The Sisters of Sin double up on Hader with a face buster and double super kick to that face again. They continue to do more harm to Hader while the crowd just boom. But then all of a sudden, the hip-shaking beats of Queen Aminata stops them in their tracks, and the one and only races out to the ring with a weapon that turned out to be a belt. She whips the shit out of Sky Blue in the stomach with full force. Hart manages to ninja roll out of that way of the incoming blow, and Queen Aminata chases them both out of the ring. Tekla is there very quickly to meet them, but the fury of our queen is stunning in yellow, keeps them all out of the ring. Then Jamie Hader grabs the mic, and we hear the words that we have been waiting for so mother goddamn long. Blood and guts! Holy flying fraggles! It is truly happening. The first women's blood and guts match is happening on the 12th of November. I shall be a little late in talking about that, but we won't be spilling. Well, we already kind of spilled the tea on there, but holy shit, I am beyond happy. I got chills all over my body when she screamed that out, and to be honest, a little emotional too. Even almost got a little bit emotional when I was going to bring it up again. Such a nerd. I truly feel like the women of AEW are being given the platform they worked super hard for. And I cannot be happier as a fan. Being a woman fan of wrestling can be a bit frustrating sometimes for multiple reasons. But 2025 really, really, truly, as I have been saying this entire year, the year for women's wrestling. And it's only going to get better from here. Like all the years up, like from here onwards, it's just going to get better. It's not going to get squashed. And then all of a sudden, there's no more freaking division. It's just going to keep going and going and going and going and going. And I could potentially still be a crazy old lady still rabbiting at you about women's wrestling in AEW in like 20 years' time. Imagine that. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Over on ROH now, the Pure Tournament, speaking of the amazing of women's wrestling, to crown the inaugural champion has finally kicked off. Women's wrestling is alive and flourishing. You know what's not alive and flourishing? My saliva gland. So hang on 1 second. The first match was between Taya Valkyrie and Queen Aminata at Death Before Dishonor, as we spoke about. Queen Aminata won that and was confronted by the returning Deonna Purrazzo, which we were very excited about. Trish Adora was not impressed by this perceived slight against her and confronted Deonna Purrazzo backstage. Fair enough. Chris and Deonna got into it again after Deonna was cutting a promo backstage. The fight between them is going to be very heated after all of this. Very excited. Billy Starks and the luchadora Muscle Mama from CMLL Olympia main evented on a club and battled it out for their spot at the semi-finals. All three shows, main events, were women matches this week. It was great. It was like the best. They had a really tough battle. And Olympia really, really tested Billy this time until, of course, Billy Hyde comes out and starts like ramping up the violence. Even though it is still a very, 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 very tight battle between Starks and Olympia. Billy very smartly and cunningly hooks herself around Olympia's arm whilst Olympia was setting her up for like another of her very many heavy slams and got her down into like a nice tight little pin and got the win. Have you been noticing that a lot of this is not a diss, this is just like, have you just noticed that a lot of the wrestlers have been utilizing this very smart move of just like taking your moment and just getting them in, and like all of a sudden they fucking lose. And it's brilliant because then like the challenger who got that taken out is like not completely down. They're still like fighting. And it's like, round 2, here we go. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Billy could not get out of the ring quick enough after that pin though, and she got her butt out of there. I'm not quite too sure why she felt like she had to run from Olympia, but her strength must have like really, really scared the crap out of her. Olympia versus Athena, that just popped into my head. Give me that, please. Two insanely strong women fighting each other. That would be awesome. Story Denani, I will quickly mention, has a dominating trios match in this episode as well with her team, the Premier Athletes. And we got also the debut in AEW ROH of Lacey Lane, who faced Mina Shirakawa for a non-title match. Lacey Lane is a fabulous wrestler. You all have probably seen her on NXT. And it was great to have her in ROH TV. Maybe we shall see her on AEW sometime soon too. That would be awesome. And after all of that, my folks, the absolute excitement from all of the announcements this week with like only the better to come. Oh, next week we will also have the Timeless Tony Storm coming back for the 6th year anniversary. I can't wait to see what little surprises we get from that, and the intergender match between the butt-hurting Death Riders and our dear Darby Allin. And I've lost my Darby Allin. Who was it? Stat, of course. Oh my God. How did that completely like flow out of my brain? My brain was like, you finished speaking now. You don't need me anymore. And I'm like, no. As you can see, the lights are still on. I very much do still need you, brain. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts on all of this week's discussions? If you so wish, you can leave them as little comments in the appropriate little sections of wherever you are. And if you would please be so kind as to like and subscribe whilst you are there, I would be very grateful. Penelope would be very grateful. Julia would be just ecstatic. Navimpia would be also very happy. The world champion always appreciates the like and subscribe. And Harley Cameron is like the best time ever. So, do it for Harley. You can find me lurking in threads at Bex_Bastet and under a tree at Bluesky Bex-Bastet. And follow the show on TikTok. It is Don't Call Me Diva Show. Brain is gone. Thank you as always to Shane, who puts up with all of this madness. My excellent excellent producer, editor, and promoter extraordinaire. How he creates such a wonderful show out of this, I do not know, but I thank him every week for it. Go check out Ethos Media Network if you would like to check out some more diverse content. Join us, everyone, at sickosclub.com and join us at Sickos Club on Threads. You have never met a more inclusive, smart, kind, and talented bunch of silly sausages who also happen to really enjoy wrestling. This was Don't Call Me Diva. Women's wrestling rules! Don't be a dick.